The Black American Heritage Flag. Most black people, and I mean black people, probably don't know what this is. I know a few years ago, I didn't know what it was. And actually, I put it up just like, oh yeah, black people got something. But this year, for some reason, it made me go into a deeper dive on it. And it made me start thinking about how this small sign could instill pride inside of a people who basically don't have any signs like this, a form of recognition. Mexicans fly their flag, Puerto Ricans fly their flag, America, we fly their flag, and we're basically just added into them. So all other walks of life basically have a flag that they rally behind, even as far as, you know, some of them groups, okay? If all of us knew about this, just imagine if they taught us about this, the two people who made it, and what all of this stands for. Think about the changes that you will see in our people when it comes to everything from music to education. Today, I want to try to dive deep into it. So let's get it. Walk with me. Okay, so now that we're over to the computer, now I can actually go through and do some reading on a couple of these things. I was taking notes, but I thought that it would be better for me to be able to read directly off of Wikipedia. So here we go. Okay, what Wikipedia says about it. So, all right. The Black American flag, or the Black American Heritage Flag, is an ethnic flag that represents culture and history of African American people. Each color and symbol on the flag has a significant meaning that was developed to instill pride in Black Americans and provide them with a symbol of hope for the future in the midst of their struggle for civil rights. So this flag right here was made on March 5th, 1967. Which was 58 years ago. That's a long time. 58 years. But, you know, I'm actually glad to be introduced to this. Actually, somebody not even black introduced me to this, you know. And like I said, this year just made me dive a little bit deeper just to figure out like what's going on and what it means, like what it actually means, how it came about. So, yeah, it was meant for, you know, for instilling pride and, you know what I'm saying, as a symbol of hope during the civil rights movement. I mean, you know, trying to get our civil rights. So, and it was designed by Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson. They actually have a picture of them right here. I don't know why it's so small. Okay, well, they won't let us download the file. But yeah, that's Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson. Okay. So let's talk about the design. Okay. Let's talk about the design because I really enjoy the design. And two of my favorite colors have always been red and black. So I think that that's pretty cool. All right, so let's start with the design. Melvin Charles described the story behind the design of Black American Heritage Flag and the historic event when it was raised at City Hall. We came up with this idea to make a flag that had diagonal stripes of red and black, he explained, and to have a fig wreath circled in the center of it and a blunted sword. Of course, we had to recognize that each item we had to have some sort of explanation. The gold-colored blunted sword represents the feeling of having pride and also knowing when you have a blunted sword, when you blunt it, you learn to curdle the earth, he continued. The wreath, which we also had in the color gold, symbolizes peace, prosperity, and everlasting life. Red was chosen to represent the rich blood shed for freedom, justice, and human dignity, and the color black was for pride and our pigmentation. Okay, for the third time, I'm doing this video. This is on Wikipedia, and I explained what this flags and its colors meant, explained on Wikipedia. But I kept going a little bit further after I got done with the video, and I found a way more deep explanation that it just is way more profound than what I've got from Wikipedia, which I understand, whatever, it is what it is, but I got to read this to y'all. So I'm gonna leave the first one in there, but then this one's gonna come right back. All right. The flag. According to the designers, the elements of the flag include the color black to represent pride and pigmentation and race, Red to remind us of the rich blood black men have shed for freedom, equality, justice, and human dignity throughout the world. And gold to represent intellect, prosperity, and peace. These colors are woven into a composition that juxtaposes the red and the black in a set of 3 stripes, one black stripe centered between 2 red. Superimposed on the black stripe is a golden wreath of fig leaves. The cultivated fig is a native of Africa and ranks as one of the most ancient of life-sustaining fruits. Centered within the golden wreath is a blunted Moorish boarding sword, symbol of leadership carried by the great Moorish leaders of the 8th century. The sword represents the strength and authority exhibited by a black culture that made many contributions to the world in mathematics, art, medicine, and physical science, heralding the contributions that black Americans would make in these and other fields. That was so much more deep than what I got from Wikipedia. And to be honest, this is my 3rd time recording this. Okay? Which means that I was meant to put this out. That's why things were trying to stop me from getting this part in there. So I hope as we continue this video that you understand that it's meant for us to have to really search for this. Okay? Go to Wikipedia for everything. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. But this, I had to search a little bit deeper. Intellect was not involved in there. I thought that that was profound, that intellect was not involved in there. But here it says intellect. So let's be careful. Let's be careful when we're doing the research. I should have known, and that's on me. But I'm glad that I was able to find it and able to just let y'all know what it is. So let's move on. I think that that is significant. I think that something like this is significant, especially in the lives of younger black Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like, just imagine if you came up with actual pride, like, yo, I'm black, not just freaking looking at all these other videos that serve to us, but like, that's made by our own people. You know what I'm saying? That's made by our own people. And we should, I actually believe that we should be flying that mug. We should be flying this mug. We should be showing that we have more pride in each other, because I believe that society only shows the worst of us. I'm not saying that some of us don't have issues. Every culture has issues, but I believe that society always tries to show the worst of us. I don't care what anybody says. This is not an argument. This is not an argument. And just to double down on that, if you want to get, okay, you talk about, because most people like to throw rich people in there. When you come from an area where there are hardly any resources, but you want to help your family, what wouldn't you say in a song to help your family? You know what I'm saying? This is something that I finally started thinking about years ago. It's like, if I was broke and somebody's like, yo, just put on some fingernail paint or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, all these other things. Like, there are things that you would do to get that money when you have nothing. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about pride and having pride in something and pride in who you are and proud of your people, you have a history of people that you should be able to go back to and be like, yo, how is this continuing to help like my ancestors did? You know what I'm saying? How is this continue to help my people like my ancestors did, or like the people who came before me? You know what I mean? And also, pride would also instill a lot more togetherness in our community, you know? So, but a lot of us, like I said, we did not grow up seeing this. We did not grow up seeing this. I learned about this from my friend who is Mexican. Okay, so that means that he did research that I wasn't even thinking about researching at the time, because it's just so, nobody really thinks about it. You know what I mean? And so he gave me this for, I think it was my birthday. Gave me this for my birthday, and I had it up ever since. But like I said, this year, for some reason, I was just like, yo, I got to see who made this. I got to see where it came from, what it means, like, you know? And so now we're going on into it. So I thought that I would just share this with people, because I think that it's important for people of color. Not people of color, black people. I think this is important for black people, okay?
Yeah, so let's continue. Let's continue. There's also an alternative version of the Black American flag that possesses the same ideas and symbolism as the original design of the heritage flag that Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson set in place. The difference between the original of the flag and the newer designs is that it's more cartoonish and has brighter set of colors. It is unclear where the unauthorized heritage flag. Okay, well, basically, so there's an alternate. There's an alternate, and when we talk about the alternate, I think what it is I think I actually have an alternate. I think that this is actually an alternate, but I mean, like, I'm just blessed to even have the knowledge to know that I have something to show pride in. But I mean, when I'm looking at this picture right here, it looks like I have one of the alternative versions, and I'm actually going to get around to getting a real version. You know what I'm saying? To get the official version of it, but I still think that the idea in this one is it's still important. It's still important. So let's go to the history. No more about design. Let's go to the history. All right. The flag was created in 1967 by Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson. The idea to create the flag came about during the Civil Rights era when Charles realized that every other group of people had a flag at parades except Black Americans. Exactly. He saw how connected they were to their national flags, but didn't feel the same connections toward the American flag due to the negative historical and political implications that the American flag held in the minds of Black American people. Creating a national flag was still just an idea in his mind until he pitched the idea to Gleason T. Jackson. He designed the flag alongside Jackson, and they would later travel the country to visit various churches, schools, and public events to promote the flag. The inspiration for the flag came from Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson bouncing ideas off of each other and going to the library for extra inspiration for the flag's design and symbolism. The flag is said to have received some opposition from some people, but was eventually accepted and supported by the mayor and was officially hoisted onto a flagpole at the City Hall in Newark, New Jersey on March 5th, 1967. I wonder if that's still there. I wonder if that's actually still there. But let's keep going. In December 1967, Charles and Jackson received acknowledgement of the flag from President Lyndon B. Johnson. The letter was signed by the personal secretary of the President of the United States. The Black church did not accept the flag as much, but most of Charles and Gleason's success came from contacting municipalities to showcase and spread the knowledge of the flag's existence. The heavy usage and discussion of the Black American heritage flag amidst the 2020 George Floyd protests eventually led to increased recognition of the flag and its colors all over the country. In August 2021, graphic designer Michael Randall, known as Mike Trey, recreated a more accurate and high-quality representation of the original flag as designed by Charles and Jackson. In September 2021, a popular half-Black American rapper named Saudi attended the Met Gala and wore a custom Christian Cowan gown that showcased the colors of the Black American heritage flag alongside the colors of the Filipino flag to represent both parts of her multi-ethnic background. Let's see. Kija Yorang wore the flag at the United States of America Miss 2022 pageant in which she won the title. Okay, all right. So, variations. Okay, we talked about the variations and stuff like that. But yo, this stuff is important. This stuff is so important, bro. And so important. This is the part that made me say that I had to talk about it. And I'm talking about it on my music channel because I really believe that us knowing about this would definitely deter a lot of things that happen nowadays when it comes to our art. Okay? Something that other people don't have. This right here, I feel like if we saw and had more pride and knew about this, our art would sound, look, and feel differently. Okay? It still does to a point, but I think that we have been sabotaged. We've been sabotaged. It is what it is. So I think that we need videos like this, and we need times like this to just remind people, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm new to this, you know, so, but I can just imagine the pride that I would have felt being introduced to this at an early age. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually going to get this probably tattooed on me. Just because like I said, I've never had anything like this, and we're not African, so we can't really go with them, and we're not Jamaican, so we can't really go with them. Like our experience, or our ancestors' experience, and our experience as well. Our experiences are our experiences. A lot of people don't experience what we experience as Black Americans, you know? So I think that it's important to know, like, hey, it's other people like me, you know what I'm saying, that see this and they feel it the same way. So the last most important part, I think, was this part. I've known about the flag, but I didn't know that we had a pledge. Whole pledge. A whole pledge, y'all. Okay? And I know that there may be some people watching this that may not be Black. Thank you for watching this, because I think that it's important that we share in each other's culture so that we know what's going on and things like that. You know, we share in everybody's cultures, especially here in America. And I think that it's important to know about the culture of Black Americans as well. Not through other people, but through the means of us. You know what I'm saying? So I thank you for being here. But we got a pledge. All right, so let's say the pledge. It says, I pledge my respect to the flag of the Black America and to the people it represents. I shall remain aware of the color red, being ever mindful that it represents the bloodshed by our forefathers. The color Black gives me pride and identity. I shall always remain true to the American ideal that all men are created equal. Yeah, that hit. That's actually my first time. So, I mean, that's it. That's it. I mean, you know, I like that this pledge does not, I like that this pledge represents Black Americans for sure, but I like that they also included that, yo, we want the same idea that America claims to want. You know what I'm saying? Is that all men created equal. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I think that is a wonderful, like, you know what I'm saying, circle back around just to be like, yo, Black Americans, like, we are Americans. We just Black. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important to represent nationality. I think it's important to have pride in nationality, not toxic pride in nationality, because we know what that looks like. But I mean, actually loving your people and actually loving you and figuring out how you can continue the fight of our forefathers. I guess we would call it a fight. You know, I guess we would call it a fight. Okay, because the fight is just to be, you know, treated like everybody else, bro. You know, treated like everybody else, and you know what I'm saying. Basically, continuing to instill in our people like others do in theirs. You know, so yeah. I see this ceremonial rights thing. I don't know what that is. Let me see. I'm actually going to read this ceremonial rights. Okay. After a newspaper article was written in the local paper, Melvin and Gleason began to receive a lot of attention and interest from Black Americans in the community. They fell upon the realization that they had very little to offer people in terms of tangible information about the flag. They decided to create a brochure with information about the flag's design, meaning, and purpose. In Charles' book, The Rallying Point, he describes the process of creating the brochure that resulted in the creation of a pledge for the flag as its final touch. It was intended to be a call to Black people to rise, like the phoenix, from the ashes of slavery, the agony of caricatures and stereotypes, the self-destruction of rioting and looting, and the horrors of assassination and senseless death. Rise in spirit, rise in commitment to the struggle for equal justice and human dignity under the Constitution. Rise in pride in self that did not require processed hair, denigration, self denigration, or flinching from the word Black. And you know what? To be honest with you, I feel like since I started moving around and stuff like that, I feel like, you know, I haven't held on to some of those things, you know, and these are some things I need to be reminded that I come from a people who were always fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like our whole thing has been fighting, you know? So while people are trying to sabotage and throw things in our way and do all these distractions and calling us monkeys, but listen, we don't give a damn. I want you to know that we don't give a damn. Or at least I don't give a damn. It's all a distraction. All a distraction from keeping me on track to do what I need to do to put on for my race as well. You know what I'm saying? Or do what I need to do to at least try to put on for my race, to be a good representation of a Black American. You know what I'm saying? And that don't mean shutting up. That don't mean like being sheepish. That just mean being a good good representation of Black people. Okay? It means nappy hair, all that. Just, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter about that. Just be a good representation of your people. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was important. I know this was a long video, but it's Black History Month, and I wanted to touch on that because I feel like I have not even tried to talk about my thoughts, and that's why I'm getting on YouTube, so I can talk about the things that I feel. So, my Black people, are y'all getting this flag? Y'all getting the original flag? Y'all flying the flag? Y'all getting it tatted? While we're having pride in this thing? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. Y'all let me know in the comments. Red for the bloodshed by our people, for injustice, human dignity, and you know, fighting for freedom, you know. Red, yeah, I forgot. All right, yo, if you enjoyed this video, please like, and if you really enjoyed it that much, please subscribe to the channel, as it helps me. And I will be back with more videos. Keep listening to the music, and also if you're Black, yo, let's start representing our people with our heads held high. Okay? Let's start really having pride in this thing. And what does pride in the Black American look like? I think we need to think about that. Okay? Because, I mean, these two thought about it, and now it's 58 years, probably even more than that. I don't know if it's exactly 58 years, but it's going on 59 in a month. What does that look like for you? I'm Lambolada, and I'm out here.